Hello, Align fam. We just hosted the third annual Align experience, and a lot of you that couldn't make it kept asking me, how was it? Want to know about the next one. So I'll be creating a virtual version of the Align experience. It'll be released the next couple of weeks, so keep you posted. It's really made for people who couldn't attend because it was a long weekend. A lot of you were traveling, or even a lot of the guests wanted to re-review some of the content that was shared. And so that will be available. Secondly, is we do have a guest list for people that want to come to the last one, but unfortunately, again, for travel conflicts, couldn't make it. So, given that demand and the positive feedback from the people that actually attended, we will see, but I may host another one this year. I normally do it annually, but you guys really want it. So if I have the energy and the capacity to do another one, I will definitely let you know. But there will be a longer video of the experience, more content of the experience coming in the next couple of weeks. But while it's still fresh in our head, I've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of lessons learned. So I want to put together this video about the takeaways and the enlightenment moments that we've had together at the Line Experience. So for this specific episode, I wanted to review the reviews of the experience, kind of the general consensus or feedback. Secondly is group takeaways and the light bulb moments that people had that were guests that attended. And then third is completely surprised me, but I actually had my own epiphanies and healings through planning and being a part of the experience. So I just want to share those as well because I know it'd be helpful for you guys as well. So I think the first thing I want to highlight is when everyone left to go to the after party, a question that we all asked was, how did the Align experience leave you feeling? And so here are the top responses that I would love to share with you. Energized was a very popular one. Positive, motivated, hopeful, pumped, empowered, revived, inspired, joyous. We also got calm, loving, cared for, relaxed, emotionally connected, aligned. Then we had such an invaluable experience, enlightening experience, lots of work ahead, but excited. We also had curious, introspective, more thoughtful. And another common theme was thirsty for more, excited for more, can't wait to dive in. So that was a common kind of the general feedback. So how did we get here? How do we get these responses? So wanted to review the overview of the experience, so everyone kind of who wasn't there has an understanding of what it was like. So over 600 people were vetted and interviewed to be part of this experience, and the people that I approved or allowed to come were people that were genuine, kind, and either ambitious or passionate. And I would say it was very split between men and women, but average ages were 30s to 60s with some tail ends on each side. Like we had some late 20s, we had some like later 60s, but I would say mostly, I would say 30s to late 50s was kind of the general, the average age of people coming. And I was open to all industries. Naturally, given my background where I'm raised, I would say 60% was in finance, but the remaining 40% is law, consulting, marketing, medical field, mental health, creatives, people that came from generational wealth, as well as entrepreneurs and tech as well. So it was really a huge mix of people coming, but just shared sentiment of being genuine, kind, and either ambitious or passionate. And for everyone, in terms of the format itself, every guest that came, I gifted everyone at least 3 matches. So what are these matches? People came for either business, friendship, or romance connections. And so, based on people's event goals and also their personalities, I matched people up based on fit. So, everyone got at least 3 to 5 matches. And then the experience itself was we came in, we had a quick intro, and then I led everyone on the first session called Confidence, Gifts, and Dream Life, where we discussed, we figured out what your ideal dream life is, we figured out what your gifts are, and then we talked about confidence, which is the fuel to really to let you go after your dream life using your gift. And then we also talked about some limiting factors, which would be like limiting beliefs, fears that would prevent us from going after a dream life. That was the first session altogether. Then we broke an hour for lunch where everyone got to mingle, spend time with their matches. And the remaining time of the experience was the room space was transformed into 5 different rooms, decorated to 5 different themes, down to the scent, and every single room had a different topic to discuss. And the topics I'll dive a little bit later, but think of it, it wasn't a lecture hall, it was much more interactive. And as a session leader, it was me and 4 other therapists and coaches there. Our job was to be a guide. We're not lecturing. Our job was kind of create space for conversation. So that was the format itself, and diving into what were the group takeaways or enlightenment moments. So these were the 4 biggest themes I kept hearing and also seeing in our feedback in terms of the survey afterwards. Um, so we as humans in this very filtered fake life that we live off of technology and social media, we all crave a safe space to really share what's going on with our lives and connect. And if you think about it, unless you go to therapy, even in therapy, it's usually just you and your therapist. Or if you have a coach, it's just you and your coach. Rarely do we have a space where we can speak openly about our joys, our grief, our excitements, things that we're scared of, just deep seated things that really mattered. And the common theme is everyone really appreciated this safe space of vetted people that they could share very openly about things that some people have never told anyone before. So I think feeling safe, being having the permission to be vulnerable was something that people really resonated with. I would say think of the sessions as a fun group therapy. And I define therapy as literally just creating a physical room and an also emotional space for you to share your thoughts and things that you probably been hidden or been shameful or felt guilt or super excited, but never had a place that you could do so. Be very vulnerable about it. So I would say, yeah, think of that as a safe, think of that as kind of like what the sessions were like. And I really appreciated the light bulb moments that people got throughout, wow, I can't speak, throughout the experience. So, for example, at the first session where I gave, I had a talk about confidence, dream life, and your gifts. Everyone sat together, and I had everyone do a SWOT analysis. So essentially, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And opportunities are opportunities that give you energy, so things that give you energy, and threats are things that like threaten your energy, where you don't like doing, you hate doing it, you don't really want to learn it. And a lot of common people put their threat or weak threat as public speaking. A lot of people didn't like public speaking, right? And it was so interesting because there's one table who all bonded over that. And I think it's very easy sometimes to watch someone speaking and it seems like so easy and effortless to them. I think it was also very timely because I was speaking to a large group, and I think like people, it made them trigger to think, well, that's not something that I do very well. That's something that like I would not feel comfortable doing. And that table actually all bonded over, yeah, even though when I do it, it seems like it's so effortless or people like compliment me on, I really don't like it. Like I really actually like something that I loathe doing. So I think because people were able to share, you know, about themselves and be very honest about it, it made people feel like not alone and felt seen. Like I'm not the only person going through this. So that's one example of kind of like the light bulb moments that people had. So I think the first thing that was a big takeaway was just as humans, we want and crave a safe space to share genuine feelings and things that are really going on in our lives. Something else that was really a big takeaway, and I'll share some points of how it came about, was we are all craving genuine connection. And I'm so glad to hear it because that's exactly why I created the line experience. What do I mean by that? I don't mean going to a bar and getting drunk. I don't mean partying and like numbing yourself. I don't mean going on in a business meeting, talking about a deal and being very transactional. I mean having a real conversation about things that really matter to you, that you really care about, and being able to connect with another person about that, right? someone having people in your life that have genuine intentions for you, that just genuinely want you to succeed, be happy, and thrive. People that come from love versus a very transactional relationship where it's always extraction. People want something from you. It's tit for tat. We're all craving genuine connection, especially as the irony of us being so connected, especially with social media and technology. We're actually the furthest away from each other when it comes to our deep emotions, feeling vulnerable and being able to share these things, share real life situations with each other. So I think, again, the vetted high quality of people that were there, everyone said that came up to me said it was really the people that made it. Like the quad people they met, everyone they met was someone that they want to continue conversation with. Most people, I mean, it was actually like 98% of the people met at least three people that they want to continue like a genuine connection with, right? Music to my ear. It just shows how much we're craving this in real life. Um, and even to the point where the feedback was, we'd be okay with less sessions, so less topics, but people wanted more time for every single topic to really go deeper. So for context, we were rotating every 30 minutes. And I was very much I wanted this Alon experience to be a crash course on here are all the key themes that we're all kind of going through or struggling through or need to heal through. And the feedback was instead of having that much content, they'd rather even just cut the content down and have more time for every single person in those breakout sessions to really share and connect. People also wanted more time to meet their matches and really mingle. And it's so funny because every single year I do this, I get the same area of improvement. And that is, I wish there was more time to connect. So this year, I made the event 6 hours. And even some people who were new to this were like, I don't know, it's a long time. Like, what are we gonna do for 6 hours, right? So it was 6 hours. And then there was a 5 hour after party. And I still get the same feedback that I wish there was more time. I wish there was more time to go deeper and there's more time to really get to know my matches and connect with the people there, which goes to show we don't have enough space in our life for these genuine relationships and genuine conversations. So that was a big kind of epiphany moment. It's like, I can make this event 3 days and people could still be like, I want more time. So I just really encourage people, and I also encourage the guests, like, create these safe spaces, right? Use this as a ripple effect. It should not end here, right? Think about other people. When I opened up as my intro, I also told people, as you meet other guests, think about what are other family members, friends, or colleagues that person you're meeting should meet. There's no reason why the connections should be contained to these four walls. So again, wanting genuine connection is a common theme I keep hearing people want more and more of. Um, for me, what I was really happy to see and hear about afterwards, and I debriefed with people directly, was the actions and the reflections that the Align experience triggered in people. So guests call their loved ones. And normally in a background or culture where saying I love you or I respect you or I'm proud of you is not something they normally say, a lot of guests actually end up calling their family members, their partner, people in their lives that they felt like they don't really say that enough to. So I think that made me feel really happy. Secondly, is we've also had people who really never like was always just so focused on their career, head down, never put up their head and questioned, am I am I in a role that's right for me? Am I proud of accomplishments that I've had? Is this a legacy I want to leave? Am I really being myself? Am I really happy with my life? Right. And I was so glad to hear that a lot of people who've been, again, trained to just pick a career, go at it, like just blinders on and no reflection, it really forced them to think, am I really living life authentically and truly to me? And I think that was also I was really happy to hear. Um, we had a whole session on love and relationships. And this was the one that I was honestly the most excited about because of the games that we were going to play. I don't want to give up all the kind of games because some of the sessions we're going to use, but expand on it. But every single session had a game and an interaction, because like that's how we learn as humans, right? You think back when you're a child, you don't learn because your mom and dad told you to do something, right? You learn by you touch the stove, it burned you, and then now you know, okay, never to touch it again. So I was really big on creating a playful experience, especially because a lot of topics we're discussing are not fluffy and they're deep and people could get triggered. So I'm like, how do we talk about heartbreak? How do we talk about pain? How do we talk about shame? How do we talk about like past childhood trauma? So we wanted to ease everyone into these topics by playing these games. So within the love and relationship pod, a big feedback I got was people really never thought considered how vulnerability is strength. And vulnerability is how you find love within yourself and with others. And again, it goes back to a, Western society where we're so focused on doing and achieving that, and, focused on your logical brain. We don't ever take score of how we're feeling, how we're doing. Are we being authentically true to ourselves? So the importance of vulnerability really hit home. And also how our parents are our first teachers. Our parents' relationship taught us emotional safety or the lack of, what it meant, what love meant, right? And some of the themes based on your parents, your experience with your parents and your parents' experience with each other, you kind of think about like betrayal, right? Feeling rejected, feeling like you were second, you were never a priority. There's a lot of themes that we've also explored in that way that really hit home with people. Um, and then when it came to, for example, heartbreak or thriving through heartbreak, a lot of people realized that there was a lot of unprocessed pain that they've been carrying. So doing it in a smaller group where we kind of release the pain, we rewrite and we rewire the story we keep telling ourselves. And instead of being a victim, asking ourselves how we can be a victor, how can we grow from this, how do we learn from this, right? Also tips and tricks to really process these pains going forward, not numbing it, but feeling it, and then how do we build anew? Um, and then I think the last thing that really resonated with people was making sure that they were aligned with their true self and their values, really figuring out what their value are, aligning it, and then creating a roadmap for your life of like, if you're misaligned, how do you get realigned? If you're not living your dream life, how do we get there? So it really triggered a lot of light bulb moments in terms of how people want to live going forward, which is music to my ears. And then the last thing is the fun part, because the last part is about being open to magic. That's something that I see common theme that people learn from the experience. So, as I mentioned, I gift everyone at least 3 matches or 3 people you absolutely need to meet, because there is alignment in what you guys are looking for, what your event goals are. And again, it's not just romance, right? It could have been like business connection, friendship connections, other passion projects that someone else could help you with, or share ideas with you. Um, so for me, I get to, in a way, match people up and play God. I was really focused on giving people what they say they wanted, like their matches, but I also had a match where I felt like if they put down if each side put down their walls, they would find a connection. And maybe this person isn't what you're looking for on paper, but your deeper values and your persona and how you live your life and your experience, what you've been through and where you want to go is actually very aligned. So I did, in a way, test the guests where I gave you what you said you wanted, but I also gave you who I felt you would really get along deeper. And I think people were very surprised by their attractions. Again, not just romantic, but like business and whatnot. People in completely different backgrounds and careers really hit it off. And that was the biggest kind of like one of the biggest happiness and joys for me, because I'm really big on, not, we all do this. We all judge a book by its cover, but I'm really big on giving people grace to show who they really are. And that's also another game we played. Like we forced everyone to judge a book by its cover, realize you were wrong, and then how do you get to know each other deeper and anew once you remove those biases. So I think people have definitely learned to being open to magic. I think it also stems about the experience overall. So there are a lot of people who are naturally introverts who came, but they were like, this is something I want to be a part of. I appreciate there was a level of trust for something that was being put on by a line. And music to my ears when I heard that people were like, I was actually really nervous coming in. I was actually like unsure, like I just had my hesitations, right? But they felt safe, they felt seen, they felt so comfortable throughout the whole experience. And they're so glad they met a lot of other connections they would want to like build and continue growing with. So I think just being open to life and being open to magic is a common theme that I think a lot of the guests came away from that. With that said, pivoting over to again, the last part is what surprised me was how it was healing for me. So last year was the most transformative year of my life literally in every aspect of my life. And I just felt quite called to not only just heal the people that I coach and people that I interact with, I just really wanted to bring a line experience again, but add workshops to it, add more content and dimension to it. And so I really thought of the line experience as a way for me to, I've been through so much that I want to be able to share it and help people and heal people and continue on. That was literally my goal, right? And also, the line experience in general was very much about making genuine connections, something that I've always cared about, prioritized, and I wanted to just show people another way of making real connections. Completely surprised it actually healed me. And these were the, let's see how many, four key kind of light bulb moments for myself that I would love to share. Because based on the theme of vulnerability, me being vulnerable, I know it's going to help at least one person listening to this. And so these are kind of the four key takeaways for myself in terms of healing that I experienced through it. So I think first thing was I didn't realize I still had deep-seated childhood wounds where I felt like I'm only enough or lovable or worthy if I'm achieving and I'm doing and I'm constantly going. And I completely understand like my parents' thought process, especially my father, where being Chinese, being a female, right? There's historically, probably still a little bit now, stigma where the men are in power, the men come first, then there's women, we're like second class citizens. And my dad wanted to empower my sister and I to be like, doesn't matter if you're a woman, you could be whatever you want to be and you can live whatever life you want. And you just have to go for it. You have to work hard and go for it, right? And I completely understand why he did that and wanted that for us, right? But I think as a child, I internalized that as if I don't do and act every single moment, if I'm taking a break, I'm not worthy. I have to constantly be achieving, constantly be doing. And I also am a very understanding and aware my dad wanted to keep us humble. And he always said, like, I'm a very confident person, which is great, but he always just wanted to check my ego. And it rarely does he say, like, I'm proud of you. Rarely does he say you did an amazing job. And even when I was younger and I got like a perfect score, like I got a 4.0 GPA, he wouldn't say much about it. He would just be like, okay, now what's next? And I think that really triggered me where I just reflected on that. And because my parents were also there, I invited them to come. And just seeing their reaction to their event. And I think it also triggered me to be like, wow, I'm still in a way seeking my father's approval, to which it became very emotional for me. And it felt like I just constantly had to do. And one of my dear friends who I like broke down to when I had that like light bulb moment, I'm like, oh my God, I still have this wound. My dear friend was like, Jess, like, first of all, your parents don't have a reference point, right? He was like, with all due respect, like how many events of these have they been to, right? They wouldn't really like, even if they could critique you on things, there's really limited amount of critique they could give, right? And then secondly, like while they like speak fluent English, there may be some terms and things, especially in the therapy and coaching where they're completely new to. So you have to keep that in mind. And I think that what's the most powerful thing he said to me, and I'm like, dang, you're right, was a very, very important reminder that he said, you're an adult now, be the parent that you want. And it's not a criticism to my parents, right? Again, they did the best they can, but they're doing the best they think they're doing, right? I need to be the adult for my inner child and say, I am proud of you. I am proud that you pulled that off. I'm proud that what like it exceeded people's expectations, exceeded your expectation. I'm proud of how you did it. I'm proud of the steps you take. I'm proud of like the epiphany moments that you've had. So I think that was a healing moment for me. It's like finally the chains were broken where it doesn't even matter if I don't get my parents' approval. The most important thing is, do I get my own approval? So I think that was extremely healing in terms of the inner wounds I still had. And then secondly, kind of alluded to it, but I've noticed like I constantly need to do. I constantly need to achieve. I got home at maybe, I think it was like midnight on Sunday. The event was, yeah, midnight Sunday. Um, at 5 a.m., I woke up and I started planning the next event. And I started really reading through the feedback, going through all of it, like literally started thinking about the next step. And one of my dear friends was like, Jess, like your body is literally on overdrive. Like your nervous system is probably literally still shaking. And the night before I slept 2 hours, right? Like you need to just calm your nerves and give yourself a break. And that also really triggered me because I realized like I've never, even when people were telling me how it exceeded their expectations, and like most people, it was out of like a 1 out of 5. Most people gave a 5 or 4. It was 5, then 4, right? To me, I was still so focused on the areas of improvement, how it could have been better, what it could have been smoother. Like I just realized that I don't stop to really like pat myself on the back or don't stop to like really celebrate every milestone that I have. And I don't, I'm always doing, doing, doing. I'm not taking a moment to just chill the fuck out and just let my body rest. And I think that's something that again I learned literally from Sunday, that I need to celebrate my wins, I need to slow down, I need to be present, because if I'm constantly chasing the next thing, I'm missing out on all the goodness, which is now. I'm missing now, which is the present, which is the gift. And I just feel that's something that, again, I didn't realize how bad I do that, where I'm like, okay, next, next, and next, next. So it's very much about embracing the present, being fully here, and enjoying every single step and not feeling like I need to rush through life. I think about even in terms of the way I planned the event, right? The common feedback I got was, there was a lot of deep prompts and a lot of good content. I wish there was more time for us to digest and share, right? And that's completely my doing. I'm the one that structured it where I was like, okay, 30 minutes a session, we got to just get through it, power through it. That's something I'm definitely reflecting on my next experience, where I'm giving people much more time to reflect and digest it and not feel like rushing through my life and therefore rushing through for everyone else. So that was a big part of it, and that like rest is okay. Something that I'm enough and I'm worthy even if I'm resting. It's okay to rest. Speaking of that, feeling need to constantly do and do, it actually hit me why I have eczema. So I've had eczema since I was very young, but eczema is actually it's not autoimmune disease, but there's some similarities of eczema to autoimmune diseases. But essentially, there's not a issue with my immune system, but my immune system overreacts to things that are not a threat in the body. So that's how I have eczema, and everything hit to me. I was like, well, of course you have eczema if you're constantly stressing yourself out, you're constantly getting from point A to point B, you're literally always beating yourself up when things are not done to a certain level of perfection. Like, of course, your body's going to go overdrive. And of course, every little thing that could be perceived a threat, you're going to take it as a threat. Right. So it was just crazy because I started diagnosing myself, because even last year I was like, how did I get eczema? Because every disease in the body is just telling you something's like off balance or mismanaged, right? So for me, it just hit me. I was like, I have eczema because I'm literally never letting my body rest. And every little thing that comes my way, I have to react to it. And so it's very much learning of slow down. You don't need to do everything immediately. And the constant need to do, like doing is a very masculine trait. And why my body's also misaligned or diseased is because I'm a feminine woman. I'm not supposed to be constantly doing and operating and doing everything on my own and over functioning. It was like over functioning, right? I have to let myself be and just be in my body and enjoy and rest and pamper myself and be much more my feminine body, and trusting that just me being and flowing, things will come to me. Things will be attracted to me. I don't need to be the one chasing or making everything happen. I think that's also something I learned from the experience where I felt like I had to do everything, I had to chase everything. But when I just chilled out, the days that I literally had no energy to like give it 150%, things naturally came my way. So I think it's really embracing my feminine self and being like, it's okay to rest. It is okay to pamper. And it's okay to want to be loved and adored for who I am, not only when I'm performing and achieving. So that was a really big moment for me as well. And then lastly is just feedback and my relationship to it with it. And I think this is will resonate with a lot of you where I mean if you're a very growth oriented person and you always want to be better, you're open to feedback. Like my whole entire life I've been so open to everyone else's feedback. Like even when I think I just got very trained very young when I went to like undergraduate business school that had specific things that they want us to look and feel like so we can get into those banks. And once I got into my dream investment bank, I like literally every like at least 40 people had to sign off on me in order for me to join the firm. And then once I'm there, it was like a 360 review where I constantly had to answer to everyone else. And I just forgot my own voice. And it got to a point where when it came to feedback, I remember last year where I just had to pause myself because I was like, wait a minute, I don't even agree with my boss's comments or values or actions. Why am I going to execute them? And I had to pause myself and be like, why am I saying to yes to things that are not aligned with me? And so, what I've learned when it comes to feedback, even using the event itself, we got very conflicting feedback. I can't make everyone happy. Like I've heard a few comments saying, I wish I had more dedicated one-on-one time with my matches, where like I had 30 minutes with them, I could sit with them, I could get to know them, because a lot of introverts aren't necessarily comfortable even going up to someone, even though I gave everyone literally a match card, the picture, their name, and I told everyone why they were matched. So there was talking points. I also gave everyone 2 to 3 deeper prompts to ask each other. So there's like no awkward or small talk, right? Even that people may not be comfortable just like waiting their turn to talk to someone or like going up to someone, right? So there's one set. Then the completely conflicting feedback on that is I got feedback where it's Jess, if you force me to sit with someone for 30 minutes and I don't want to, I'm not going to come. Completely like people want completely different things, right? So when it comes to feedback, I've definitely learned that I'm open to all feedback. I'm always open to like being better, but I'm very discerning on what feedback I'm going to actually take to heart and what feedback I'm going to adopt. So even feedback for the experience, right? Again, very conflicting. I want one-on-one time. I want dedicated time with my matches versus I would not come if there was dedicated time. I have to digest myself and think, what's the happy medium and what actually feels right to me, right? Based on how do we make everyone comfortable, really leveraging human psychology. How could I get, even if we get in a certain format, how do we get both sides comfortable? So I think having a more healthier relationship to feedback where I'm completely open to growing and being better, but it has to be being better the way in the direction that I am aligned with, in the direction that's aligned with my values, my integrity, my morality, and how the legacy or the impact I want to make on the world. So I hope that helps. So just as a really quick wrap up, we went through the event reviews, we went through the format, we went through the group epiphanies and like kind of like the enlightenment moments that they had. We went through my surprise epiphanies, which was I mean, I'm shocked I had them, but I'm clearly needed to have them. They were still lingering along. I hope this was helpful. And I know a lot of you have asked if you want to attend the next one or you're curious about learning more. So I will be putting out a video that really kind of shows you behind the scenes of the actual experience. And then secondly is if for those of you interested, you have to apply. Everyone needs to be vetted. So please feel free to email me. Get on the wait list now. There's already a wait list of over 50, 60 now. And I have to cap it at a certain size. So do reach out if you're interested, if you want to learn more. And definitely stay tuned for all the content that's coming out. I think for those of you who had nerves and whatnot, the next video I'm going to create will give you much more sense of security of what the event will be like. And most importantly is cheers to all you aligning with your true self so you can live your best and dream life. I'll see you soon.